Have you ever wondered what would happen if we could take the fastest man alive and just make him even faster? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to explore this wild idea, pushing the laws of physics right to their breaking point. So get ready, because things are about to get really big and unbelievably fast.
Just picture this for a second. We're not talking about a superhero from a comic book. We're talking about a real human athlete, scaled up to a size so massive that they could treat a highway like it's their own personal running track. That's the wild thought experiment we're diving into today.
And yeah, this is the big question, right? We're starting with literally the fastest man in recorded history, the one and only Usain Bolt. And we're asking a super simple, almost kid-like question. What if he just kept growing proportionally? What in the world would happen to that legendary speed?
Okay, so before we go completely off the rails with this idea, let's start with a baseline. To build our giant, we first have to understand the foundation, right? And that's Usain Bolt as we know him, an athlete who honestly was already kind of a physical freak of nature.
So get this, Bolt is 6'5". Now that might not sound crazy for a basketball player, but for an elite sprinter, that's unusually tall. For years, everybody thought that shorter, more compact sprinters had the edge, because of a faster leg turnover. Well, Bolt came along and completely smashed that idea to pieces.
And here's why it worked. It's all about this key trade-off. See, while other runners might have taken more steps every second, Bolt just covered a ridiculous amount of ground with every single stride he took. His height gave him this massive advantage in stride length that totally made up for a slightly slower turnover. And that exact principle? That's what we're about to scale up, like way up.
All right, let's move to our first big jump. This is where things start to get really wild. We're taking Bolt from his already tall 6'5" to a truly colossal size, and seeing what that does to one of the most famous races in all of sports, the 100-meter dash. Okay, just try to imagine a 20-foot-tall Usain Bolt lining up at the start. I mean, that's more than 3 times his normal height. The starting pistol fires. The race, which usually takes him just under 10 seconds and about 41 steps, would be over in the blink of an eye. It would take him just 3.
That's it. Can you believe that? 1, 2, 3, and the 100-meter dash is done. His stride would be so unbelievably long that he'd cover the entire track in 3 giant bounds. The thought of that is it's insane. But guess what? We're not stopping there.
Now we're going to push this idea to its absolute ridiculous limit. We're going beyond the track and into a world of speed that rivals actual machines. But as you're about to see, with that kind of incredible size comes an even more incredible and devastating problem.
Just take a look at these numbers. I mean, wow. At his normal height, Bolt's top speed is around 27 miles an hour. Super fast for a human. At 20 feet tall, he's hitting 85 miles an hour. He could literally race cars on the highway. But now, scale him up to 45 feet tall. With a stride length of 55 feet per step, his top speed becomes a mind-blowing 190 miles per hour. That's supercar territory. It sounds amazing, but there is a massive catch.
And right here, this is where our whole amazing fantasy comes crashing down. The quote says it all. He would need bones made of carbon fiber. Why? Because at that size and moving at that speed, the forces involved are so huge that human biology just can't handle it. His own skeleton would literally shatter.
So, why does our incredible sprinter suddenly just crumble? Well, the dream breaks apart because of a basic, inescapable rule of physics and geometry. It's a rule that applies to everything, from tiny insects to giant elephants to our imaginary super sprinter.
The whole problem comes down to something called the square-cube law. And you know what? It's actually a pretty simple idea. As you make something bigger, its strength, which is based on the area of its muscles and bones, it goes up by the square. But its volume, and so its weight, that goes up by the cube. And what that means is your weight grows way, way faster than your strength does. So that imbalance, that's the real killer here. For a little while, as he gets bigger, it works out. But pretty quickly, that cube, the weight, just completely overtakes the square, the strength. For our 45-foot-tall sprinter, every single step would create such a catastrophic force that his entire skeleton would instantly fail. He'd be too heavy to even support his own weight, let alone run at 190 miles an hour.
And all of this leaves us with a really fascinating final thought, doesn't it? We can't just scale ourselves up like a superhero, because physics just won't let us. So if getting bigger isn't the answer, what is?
Is the next leap forward for human speed going to come from technology? Or maybe genetic engineering? Or have we already gotten pretty close to the absolute physical limit of what a human body can do? The big question is, where do we possibly go from here?